Okay, this episode is actually going to be about getting things done. And obviously, if you have been an entrepreneur for a while, you might be thinking, with everything going on in the industry, with all the information, with all the YouTube videos, with all the books on self-help and personal development, what else can you say about getting things done? But trust me, I'm sure we're gonna touch on this topic from quite a different angle, and actually, I love that angle. And it definitely needed to be said. So, welcome to the new episode on From Grind to Grace. This is a show for the alternative entrepreneur, the entrepreneur who's ready to flip the script, challenge the norms, and choose freedom first. When freedom is not a destination, when freedom is the path, because when you stop grinding for freedom and start creating a business that feels like it in the process, success just tags along. And that is the mission for yourself, for your children, and for humanity. And that's the kind of questions I ask to my guests on this show. And today I have a friend of mine, Fab,
All
or
right.
else Fabrizia Costa. And I think, Fab, you are the first person on my show for the second time.
Oh, wow.
I think so, right? So the first episode was also very brilliant. We chatted about branding, and so the one whoever's listening, if you want to check it out, I think you just search branding on From Grind to Grace, and this episode is about getting things done. What a twist! But I'm really, and I just to add, obviously when you told me, Fab, about the book and what it was about. So first of all, and I know, and you could chime in, on how this book came to life. It was pretty unexpected, even for you. But the topic, as I said in the beginning, was like, okay, yeah, about getting things done. So, and because I know you, right? So I got curious, okay, how can you approach this topic with everything going on already? And, people having mentors and coaches and, self-coaching people and things like that. So I guess let's start there, right? How did you even, and first of all, I guess maybe introduce yourself for the context a little bit, and then, how did that even happen? And I know you told me roughly, but I want to hear all about it. How did you manage to accidentally write this book?
Actually, you telling me, hi, everyone. You telling this in the words that you used, the accidental of, catching something by surprise reminded me how I had my first child. Because of
Oh.
different hormonal issues or something. I didn't realize I was pregnant until I was 4 months pregnant. And then she was born at 8 months. So it was the quickest pregnancy in the universe. By the time you realize you're putting on weight and you think, oh, you're going to diet, to the next day, kind of, oh, here we go. So the book was kind of that sort of experience, but faster and without the trauma. that was It was easier. But basically, I had this. I've been coaching people on business, creatives, photographers a lot, and others for a long time. And then we with branding, you do a lot of identity work, and you do a lot of, a lot of understanding strategy, but everything is a project, whether it's a branding project or a coaching project or helping the people I coach through their projects. So can't see you, but my glass is steaming out. Anyway, there's always something that needs to be, there's a goal and you want to achieve it and you work towards it. And all of a sudden I realized that I had a kind of system. It's something you're not aware of, but I suddenly became aware of this path that I kind of always follow when I have to do something either for myself or with my clients. And that is this formula of attention, intention, and execution. So it's the attention to where you are now, what you have, whether it's, and there's a part which is inner resources. That's where you need to start, because a lot of people start, oh, I want to do that. And they don't realize they're like this far from burning out. They really shouldn't be taking on anything, or that, how are we? And then what resources do you have? And understanding that you may have stuff that you can use that you don't even think about, but it could be useful for what you need to do. So taking stock of everything, and then getting a very clear destination where you want to go and really flesh it out, and then figuring out the path between these two and all the moving steps. It makes things so much clearer and so much easier. And then in that there is the time, and that how you manage the time you have and what you do with it, how you prioritize stuff. So time is a really big part of it. Keeping the joy into this, the relationship to your project, the letting go of the guilt because you may be late, or it's something that's been sitting there for a long time, you're beating yourself up for it. All of those parts came into the book. I sat down to write a PDF for this little formula, and I thought, somebody might need it. And then an hour later, I had the outline of a book, and I thought, well, because I kept going like, well, I should talk about this, and I should also say that, and I should also get, it's just something that I've been teaching and doing and talking about for so long that it just all came out like that. And I wrote it in a week after that. And then I reviewed it for another week. And then we designed it in a week. And we actually designed it in 6 days, like the world was made, because we really wanted to keep the momentum going. And Mark, my husband, who's the designer, who did this unbelievable inside job.
And also, yeah, so, and the cover as well.
Because I wanted it to be ADHD friendly, and there's all sorts of things we'll talk about in a minute. But we decided to keep the momentum going. So, and we gamify everything. So he came home with a bunch of flowers, and because we were looking for, the pinks and the oranges and stuff. He came home with a bunch of flowers, and he said, I think these are the colors that will work in the design. And so we put them on the desk, and we decided that we would design the book before the flowers died. We had to, there's this race with the flowers. And yeah, by the time we finished, there were still like 3 or 4 flowers alive. Some of them had gone, but so it was just a few days and it was done. The hardest thing was putting it on Amazon, because their system doesn't understand weird stuff like this, going off onto the sides and, things that are not quite normal. And so there was a lot of coming and going with the
Oh,
Amazon
wow. So
thing.
they look into the inside of the book. Yeah.
Well, it's an automated system. And
Yeah.
there is without getting into technical things, there are some spaces that you either have it filled up with something or nothing. There is no in between. So you have to reach, but they don't tell you the measurements. You have to kind of, it's a trial and error. It took like 3 weeks to get that done, which is longer than making the book.
So how do you read the title of the book?
How do I read it?
Uh-huh.
I'm fucking about. But, and you know what the problem is?
Asking, right? I'm asking, right?
Yeah,
Well, the
yeah, yeah.
reason why I'm asking, because when you write it, when you type it, it's different. Like it's different, right? With an asterisk. But you can't do that when you actually need to say it, you know?
No. But
It-
I don't know. I have a really bad foul mouth. And the
so
best of days.
how
So
did
I
you
use
come
that
up with
word
it?
a lot.
Yeah. So how did you come up with a title?
Well, the title came um as I was writing, so I thought, what is this about? And actually came I have there's a really funny saying in Italian, which loosely translated, which translated to the letter means we're not here to comb dolls' hairs. And it's a Milanese kind of funny
Mhm.
way of saying we're not here to waste time. We're not here to fuck about, right? That's exactly what
Yeah,
it means.
yeah.
And I thought, I wish when I write it in Italian, that's going to be the title in Italian, right? Because it is very funny and everybody knows it. But then I thought, what's the equivalent in English? And the equivalent in English, I couldn't translate it. I couldn't, find a way. And the only thing that came up was stop fucking about. But I thought, well, for sure that's been done before. There's so many books with stop fucking this or that, the other stuff. There's stop fucking smoking, fucking procrastinating. There's so many, ever since um Manson, what's his name? Mike Manson. Anyway, he came up with the subtle art of not giving a fuck. It was about 10 years ago, probably. He kind of opened the whole realm of these kinds of, asterisks in the titles. And there's been a lot of books with that kind of title. And I was sure that had been done before. So I did a search because I thought, well, if there is another book called like, what does it say? And when I searched, I couldn't find it. And then I looked and the domain was free. And I thought, well, that's it. That's the title.
Okay, cool. And well, and we'll get into the topic, but how did you get accepted? Like, first of all, why asterisk
But
instead of just the full world? And then how did you get accepted with this title? Because when I was telling you, when I was trying to leave a review, which I did later, but I had to remove this exact word with an asterisk. My review was rejected by Amazon.
and a lot of reviews was rejected and they had to be written again. And I think
Yeah,
there's a lot of reviews still missing because people have had them rejected.
yeah.
Um, it's the title was not a problem. The cover and the title of the project was not a problem. What is a problem now, and this is a new thing, I tried yesterday to say, okay, let's see what happens if I promote it on Amazon. If I, do sponsor it a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have rejected the promotion. So now I need to email them back. They emailed me and I need to email them back. And I don't know if they're gonna, uh, because they say you should change the title. And I said, well, I can't change the title. It's the cover of the bloody book. You're supposed to show it. So it
Mm-hmm.
will not be possible to promote it, which is why I will have to rely on everybody just loving it and sharing it, which is great. But it makes life more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, I it was the right book. It was the right title for the book, and I'm not thinking, oh my God, this might come into whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and actually, so I was gonna say it's a side question, but now I'm thinking the next question I'm gonna ask, but now I'm thinking actually it's very relevant as well because it's about your visibility and actually using and exposing your own voice. So even the language, the title itself, I think it's part of that, right?
I
Rather than
will
sort of
I will
cutting
challenge this thing, then I tell you, I'll let you know how it goes, but
the
I will challenge it because it is a form of discrimination. in a way. These books are available on, if you go on Amazon and you type the word,
Yeah.
there are so many books with this word in the title, and either none of them are being promoted, or I don't know,
Mm-mm.
maybe they are
The,
not.
right. And the question is, how do you combine, how do I ask this question? How do you combine seriousness and this kind of language? How do you get attention from serious people, like, or how do you win credibility, while using this kind of language?
Well, I think that serious people use this language all the time. I've known CEOs that swear like sailors. So it really isn't about being serious, being professional. And then this is something
I
with
mean, trust
branding.
it. I
And
guess the word is trust it, and those kind of things. You know what I mean?
yeah, well, trusted is about your reputation, and it's about what people say about you. And when you have, I don't have that many reviews on Amazon because most of them get canceled, but the ones that are there, they blow me away. What people are saying, or the messages I get on LinkedIn or comments when I post about it. And first of all, a lot of people have said, I love the title, and they bought the book because of the
Yeah.
title,
Yeah.
and of course they either follow me or know who I am or know a little bit
Yeah.
about me, just not buy the book. But the fact that they may know who I am, they've heard something from me before, or they talked to me before, or they have seen something of mine before, and then they see this, and they see the cover and they see the title, and they go like, this is going to be fun. And it is. It's a fun book. It's serious because it addresses
Yeah. And it's
some
very easy to
serious
read.
things.
Yeah.
But it's really easy to read. It's very playful, and it's very, something that it's supposed to be a guide and something that you can just open, any page and just sort of get a, you know, get one sentence because it's big, and you go like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
this is something good for me to read today or to pay attention to today. And so
Okay.
that's how it's made.
Yeah. So let's get to the meat.
Right.
And as I mentioned earlier, the formula, the A.I.E formula, and the first letter, attention, actually that is really, really cool.
Hmm.
And not only because of getting clarity before you even get started,
Yeah.
like in terms of where I'm at, what I need to do, and things like that. But you know why? Also, what I keep finding with people, especially if they're not super established entrepreneurs, they don't know what they already have.
Yeah.
And what's worse is they assume they don't have anything.
Yeah. And
It's like pandemic in our society. Nobody is looking at existing assets, at existing resources, and at existing skills, and everybody just keeps going for more information, more, and they end up with this clutter. And like my client, when I work with clients on marketing, they just keep flooding me with this clutter of new information, whatever they dig out, whatever they come up with. They always try to think of what it is I expect from them rather than what I want them to tell me what they already have. And what's worse, even now with AI,
yeah.
they keep dumping, flooding me with a lot of information now. It's so easy to get all the answers from AI, but they get confused
Yeah.
in those answers, with those answers. So I really appreciate that that's where you started. So tell me more about that, How did that unfold for you, and when did you realize, that this is the first step, before you do anything else?
Well, the attention and intention and execution is really a more um, precise and a more sort of tailored way of explaining the bigger idea of origin, vision, and mission, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
those things that make up the whole of the marketing, the storytelling, or making stuff, or our lives, everything. It's like the life universe and the everything is 42. I don't know if you know Douglas Adams, but that whole thing is it's like a really big sort of visionary, abstract sort of concept. So to take that principle and put it into a very linear, a very sort of bam, bam, bam. I'm very pragmatic, I'm very practical, and things need to be doable, right? If it's not doable, then it can be inspiring, it can be all kinds of other things. But if it doesn't bring you to a place of actually getting this thing done, it's a waste of time, or it's something that, yeah, it's good to know. We'll put it there and maybe we'll use it in 5 years. That doesn't help anyone, right? And so because I work with so many creative people and I see so many projects get stuck, but also they don't get started because they don't think they have what it takes. They cannot plan the whole thing through because it's too many moving parts. And so breaking things down into blocks and into smaller, like I say in the book, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. Some projects are elephants. They're huge projects. And some are smaller, having a dinner party is a project, but even that has a lot of moving parts if you have more than 4 guests, or a birthday party for your child or your wedding. Those are all projects. This works for that as well. But mainly we're talking about, business things or creative projects. And so you do need to plan it, but planning is again like a very airy fairy word. How do you plan? Do you just make a list? Do you make a bubble thing? Do you stick things on the wall? Everybody's got their own way to plan. There are a million ways to plan, and you can learn from all of these ways to plan. I made myself a system where how I plan that I've taught as well. It's called a game board planner. That's another thing. Maybe I will make that next. But it's just how your brain works and how you do things. Everybody plans in different ways. Planning doesn't mean that you're going to put in the plan the things that need to be in the plan. And also doesn't mean that the plan is going to help you actually getting it done. Right? People make a ton of plans that never come to light.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this was about the things that you really want to do, or the things that really make your heart sing, or the things that you'd like, you've had there to do for a long time and you haven't done them. This is a way to do them and get them done, without having to do it alone. Basically, I think that's the whole point. This is like a guide to have somebody who takes you by the hand through all these things and says, look at this and look at that and look at that. And how is that for you? And how is this for you? And how does that, feel? And how does that work? And what else do you have that you could put into this thing? And that's having that guidance, I think, makes it so much easier, hopefully, for
No,
many people.
yeah, I really appreciate the permission to actually almost pause or slow down in the beginning. Slow down to be fast, because in most cases you hear the advice take imperfect action, which has its place, but
Yeah.
I think as well it pushes people into doing things without understanding what the hell they are doing and with what they're doing, and everybody thinks that they need to learn something new. every time,
Yeah.
gain something new every time rather than using and reusing. And I think, and you know that I talk a lot about freedom and about leverage. And so I think this is a must. This step is a must to create that leverage. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, within it, there's also all these, looking at your assets, so the attention to the outer work. There's the attention to yourself first and what's going on in your life. And that's absolutely, it's like, are my batteries charged enough to get going on this thing, in general, or not. But the attention to the outer stuff, which is your assets and your leverage, the people that you know who can come into this to help, maybe later, maybe at the beginning, maybe somewhere in the middle, have taken the time to really go through all of these questions, all of these things, and having, and that is a kind of self brainstorming almost exercise. We're really putting down so much stuff, and you may not be using it all, but you realize that you are sitting on a mountain of value and a mountain of assets, and then you go like, whoa, well, I can actually pick and choose, from all this stuff that
Mm.
I have, what I'm going to put into this project and how I'm going to run this. And that is fantastic. I find that when you do that first part, it gives you such a charge because it kind of shows you what you have, which is incredibly empowering, and what you need to get, which if you're clear about is also incredibly empowering, because you're going to go like, okay, well, I may not have that, but I have a half an idea of how to get it, or
Mhm.
okay, then I have to sit down for a minute and figure out how to get that, and you just do that bit, right? And then you get it, and then you carry on, and you don't hop and skip everything.
And also, um, when I don't know about you, but when I first realized that I had so much already, it stimulated, like it triggers the a deep sense of abundance.
Yeah,
It kind of showed me that, oh my God, all this stuff is all around me and I didn't even know. And now I'm looking and I'm seeing more, and there is never end of it.
yeah,
Like like digital or physical or people wise, like, and I keep remembering new people, well, new old people all the time, so it's such an abundant mindset, and it's a good, it's for me it's also a good. And when I do that with my clients, I see how they learn resourcefulness,
yeah.
right? Because otherwise everybody thinks that they don't have enough stuff
Yeah,
yet.
exactly. And it's because, yeah, I think you too. I mean, I've done so many things when I had nothing, and we had to make things happen, right? We had to create stuff out of virtually nothing and make whatever you have work. I wrote an article on LinkedIn. I just started on LinkedIn, but I'm writing a few articles, and they're mainly about my life and how I started my business. And I had €100 and a rubber chicken. It was a chicken that we call a rubber chicken because we made 5 meals out of a chicken, my daughter and I. And yeah, you learn like really creative ways of using what you have, and finding systems to make things work better. And so all of that is things that you can do if you just stop to think about it for a minute and calm down. Calm the fuck down. So
That's it. This is such a good permission because nobody's telling you to calm down. You listen to certain gurus,
yeah, it's all about go, go,
it's just
go,
go, go, go, do. And you know what? It's easy to go when you know where you're going.
go.
And those gurus saying that, well, and I'm not saying some of it is unintentional, right? But I believe that a lot of people and gurus, they have a blind spot. they don't realize that at some point before they started going, they, they were collecting information on what's available,
Yeah.
you know, and then you learn. It happens faster, right? Then you learn it. But I think, and you know, I was thinking when you were telling me about the article about the chicken, you know, I was thinking maybe it's worth actually telling people to not even try to go for anything new in the beginning before they do an inventory of what they already have. Like literally limit them, you
Yeah.
know,
I
in the,
always I
yeah.
always say, and coming from photography as a creative business is creativity thrives in limitations.
Mm,
Absolutely thrives in, if you can
totally.
do anything you want, you are completely stuck because you know, and that's the problem with Netflix. If we have a series going on, I am a happy bird because I sit down, have my dinner, I go to the telly, I go like, where's the next episode, right?
Yeah.
Night, we finished the series. So we had to choose a movie. We started three movies. They were one worse than the other. After 10 minutes, it was like,
Mm,
really want to watch this? No. Okay, let's try the other one. Let's try the other one. And you go like, because we have so many, and I know there's a lot of movies there that we say, oh, this would be good. We got to watch this. But then when it's time to choose one, we don't remember which one it
yeah, same.
platform it is. Is it Netflix? Is it Disney? Is it whatever, Amazon, whatever. And so you're like, too much choice, too much. We can watch absolutely everything. So we end up watching nothing,
Exactly.
watching, I can't remember what we ended up with. But anyway, so today, then I set Mark out to go and research the next the next series. But yeah, when we have too much, when we have all the options open, that is the biggest problem that we have, because then we have to choose and do right, really narrow the choices. And it's the same with every creative art. You do choose which medium you're going to use, what you're going to do. If you're doing a watercolor, you're not doing an oil painting, and whatever comes out is going to be different. You can't change your mind halfway
Mhm.
through. You have to do one thing or another. So the the importance of actually welcoming your limitations and finding the strength in your weakest points and
Mhm.
finding how that weak spot can turn into a strength, or a uniqueness about that, how that thing that you think is holding you back is actually something that is going to constrain it into a much more precise and sort of honed in kind of project. And so all of those things require a little bit of time to do. And then one thing that I wanted to say, when you were talking about a lot of the gurus saying, this is the system, go, go, go. Like, I give you the information, I tell you how to do stuff, and off you go and do stuff. I've seen that and I always refer back to photography because that's what I've been in for over 10 years. Coaching on business, not on photography necessarily, but seeing how everybody else does things. And basically, the biggest gurus in that industry and in many other industry, marketing as well, they're cloning people after themselves. They have their system, they make their business work that way. I give you the exact blueprint, and then you just do that, learn this, shoot this way, make a studio this way, do your marketing this way, get your target audience that way, and off you go and you do the same thing as me. And then you are making an army of clones. And what I've done in my courses, definitely the opposite. If I have two people that come in doing the same thing, by the time they get out, they are two completely different businesses, because it's all based on who we are. And the value we bring to our projects is our own personal stories, personality, everything that is about us, right? Is going to make that project completely different from, so, which is why this book, how many books have been written about productivity and how to get shit done?
Yeah.
Tons. But this is not like any other book because it's me. Now, the idea of this is that it's a guide so that it'll bring out your stuff in the best way. It's not telling you do it this way. It's not giving you a system. Yes, it is a system, but it's telling you, it's poking you and asking you questions to bring out who you are, what you want, where you want to go, what you want to be, what you want it to look like, and how you're going to feel about it, and how you're going to learn from it, and everything that is involved while making a project or a business or whatever it is you're doing. So, and that's what I like about it, because no two people will get the same stuff out of it.
Very cool. Yeah, yeah, totally agree. So how do you know that you are done with the A, with the attention phase?
Well, none of this is designed to kind of sit there forever on one thing. You will go through all the questions and write down the things. And then when you've done that and you've written down what you can think of and answered all of the things that it brings up, then you carry on to the next thing. And I think already while you're doing the A, you're kind of feeling where the I is gonna go. It kind of naturally flows from one thing to another. You just have, and while you're doing the A and the I, you're going to start jotting down notes about the E, how you're gonna, some ideas that you're gonna have about what to do, like some of the execution bits are gonna come at any point. You're not working on it yet, but you are writing them down somewhere. And so it's kind of a, at least I hope for everyone, it's kind of like a natural flow of work. Nobody likes to be stuck in one bit at the same time. What I do like, that has not been said before or done before or even talked about before, is the loop bit. Because the loop is the fact that you find yourself stuck somewhere at some point, because we do. No system and no thing is going to prevent you from getting stuck at
Yeah.
some point, or losing direction, or getting confused, or not knowing what to do next, or whatever. And it gives you a way to figure out where you need to loop back to. Where is your missing little brick? Where is the thing that you have and not either paid attention to, or executed properly, or set a good intention for, whatever it is? Which part of this system, of this, of this journey, you should look back to kind of get yourself back on track. And I think that's very valuable.
It is. And basically, you are saying it's okay to get stuck.
Okay to get back. It's okay to get lost.
Yeah, I know, right? It's a lot of people, I believe, a lot of people beat themselves up for getting
Yeah.
stuck. A lot of people tell themselves, I should know this. What is wrong with me? What's going on? When is this gonna be over? Those kind of things.
Yeah.
So,
um you're not behind.
not behind.
And
Right.
shame and guilt don't get to run the show. So yeah, I had to put this in because that is such a huge thing with people saying, and even with me, I have been feeling bad about projects that I never did, that are in a drawer, and you go like, oh, it's been years and years, and no, it's too late, whatever. And for some things it is too late, maybe, they're not up, but for some things it's not. It's just that we feel, oh, because I haven't done anything in 10 years, then I'm not allowed to, I feel the guilt is heavier than the work. It says, the guilt is heavier than the work itself. It's heavier to deal with your guilt and your shame about some stuff than it is to actually say, fuck it, and just get on with it, and just say, I'm
It
going to do it.
is.
I'm 20 years late. I'm still going to do it. It's,
On the scale of frequencies. guilt. I think
Ah,
it's guilt or
there you
shame.
go.
Shame.
Shame and
Shame
guilt.
has the lowest frequency.
Yeah,
And I think when you say fuck it, it's courage and it has much higher frequency, still below the neutral,
yeah.
by 1 degree, I think, but still, but yeah, very interesting. And F it helps, really helps. You know. Okay, so the next stage is intention. Tell me about it.
Well, people define, everybody says you need to set goals, right? So, which is true. Intention is the goals, is where you're going, where you want to go, where you want to end up. Why do you want to do this project? Why should it exist in the first place? And where do you want it to go? Is it something that needs to go global, viral, or is it something that is for your community, or what is it? Oops. So, but a goal is what you want to get out of it. And intention is how you want to show up when you get there.
Mm-hmm.
Very different to have a goal and say, I want to make $1 million. There's many ways to get there, make $1 million. Then how am I gonna feel like when I have that $1 million? I may feel miserable because I don't know, I've sold drugs to get it or something, or my firstborn child. I don't know. So it's like, it's not about just getting to your goal. To me, you need to get your goal with an intention that is about how your life is going to be when that happens, right? So it's not just a goal that's finishing there. When I get to this stage, when this project is over, or anyway, it's out there and it's happening, I want to be a certain way, be that woman. And so it's about us, and it's about how we change, because everything that we do is an evolution of ourselves. If you run a business, running a business is self-development on steroids, right? It's been said. It's not my quote, but it
I
is.
know, I know. Yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
And so I say it's the biggest form of self-therapy that you can get. It's, you learn so much about yourself when you're in business. And being in business, doing a project, whether it's for business or not, is still like a very personal thing that you're putting out there, or that you're creating and you're doing. So you are going to be a a different person. Are you going to be oh God, sorry, it's my keyboard. And so how you want to show up, not just when you get there, but throughout the process. My intention is the whole journey, right? It's not just the goal, or the end post, or the prize at the end.
Yeah, and when
So that there's the it's like a goal is very measurable, and an intention is more emotional, and it's less measurable, but it's
yeah,
deeper and wider, you know.
yes, yes, and I think this is so important as well, again, because very often we are forced, I think, especially in the beginning, and most of us probably learn in the hard way, right? I remember in the very first coaching program, we were told to create goals for the year, obviously. And those goals were something very specific. And I remember I was putting a list of goals together, and I just didn't have a sense of, well, I didn't feel anything.
Mm.
And they were imposed. It was something I thought I should set as my goals.
Yeah.
But nobody was telling us about what actually so first of all, it's very hard to know what you can achieve in 1 year when you are just starting, right? It's very hard to know. How do I know what's possible? I don't know.
Yeah.
right? So obviously your approach, when when you only set intention, then you might think about it in the context of your life, of what you want your life to feel, you know?
Yeah, because a goal is a result, right? It's a fixed thing.
It's a tangible result. Yeah.
Intention is directional. It's the experience. It's how you feel getting there. It's how you want to experience the whole thing, you know. I want to get there, but I want to get there dancing, you know. I want this project to go. Oh my God. Pause it for a sec. I got gardeners. Can you hear? No?
Mm-mm.
Okay, that's good. Because they're doing the leaf blowing thing.
No, it's all good. I can't hear anything.
You know, is it anyway, so that's it. You know, they shape the experience of the work that you're doing and not just the result of it. And I think that's also a really good differentiation, because sometimes we don't really know. You just say, what is a goal? You know, you want to create something, or you want to make something, you want your business to go somewhere. Yes, you want it to grow. Do you know how much it can grow, especially when you're starting in the first 6 months or a year or two? You don't. You can say, I have a goal of 100,000 pounds, whatever. But then all kinds of things happen, and it could be more or it could be less. But it's how you get to that direction and what you do on the way that really matters. You're going to be miserable getting there? Not worth it then, right? Are you going to have fun all the way and only reach 80,000? That's fantastic, you know. Okay.
And also, I guess that puts you in the position of really thinking about what that goal might even mean. Like, well, what is its meaning, right? Okay, like, let's say 100,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So what? And what? And so what? Well, what am I gonna do with it? How am I gonna feel about it? Do I even need it, or you know what kind of person am I gonna be or feel about myself when I finally achieve it? So they don't, okay, I'm not saying nobody, okay, but from my experience in the industry for quite a few years now, I don't see that much of just setting intention rather than goal. It's always a goal,
Yeah. Yeah.
very specific. And then we agonize over not achieving it, but
Yeah.
maybe it wasn't the right goal in the first place.
But now the whole concept and principle of goals and this way of working is very much a heritage of this man-made kind of approach to business and to life. They have measurable, it's business has always been that measurable goals. This is a strategy, off we go, bam, bam, bam. And sometimes the strategy doesn't even exist. The goal is the strategy. They don't know how to get there, right? That's another story. But as women, and I'm just saying this book is not just for women, but I can see how it actually reflects a woman's perspective. And it also appeals to women because we are a lot more, we totally understand the difference between a goal and intention. Men have a bit of a harder time getting to that point. And because goals don't sit well with us, having just a goal for the sake of a goal doesn't really, at least it never sat well with me. And especially if it's money. Yes, you may have a goal of money for a purpose. I want to raise money for a charity to buy an ambulance or whatever. There is a fixed amount of money you want to get, or I want this amount of money to invest in this project or in this other thing I want to do. I want to buy a new camera, I want to buy a new computer, whatever. We may have money goals, obviously, and we do. But in the end, it's always to a purpose, to a bigger purpose, to a higher purpose, or to a next step, to something else. right? So when I wrote the book and put it out, I didn't think, oh, I'm going to sell 1 million copies and become, and have $1 million out of it. That's not the point. The purpose of this is I don't make much money on the book at all, but you don't make money on books. It's like I want to make an impact. I want to help people. This is part of what I do with what I love to do with people is the biggest thing that I love of my job is to see people thrive and and change and grow and thrive and get to what they desire. And so that's my biggest payback. It's not the money, it's about seeing that. So having this out and knowing that it can help a lot of people do that, that's absolutely fantastic. And so all the feedback that I get and the the reviews or the comments or the messages, those are like, really worth fantastic.
Yeah, and you touched on such an important point, about how women approach getting things done and how the world is actually different for women. And you know that I talk on this topic increasingly more and more, and even more to come. More is coming on specific issues that women are dealing with. And a big part of those issues is that every day is unpredictable for most women.
Yeah.
Like you can set whatever goals you want, right? And if you set them in the masculine way, good luck. And then look at all these women actually burned out, blaming themselves for everything,
Yeah.
always thinking, I should have this by now. I should be here by now, but I'm not. What the hell is wrong with me? But then she forgets about her own, all the other load and responsibilities and everything unexpected and kids' sickness and, all those kind of things. So it's important to understand and accept the reality that so the nature of running a business is unpredictable itself, right?
Yeah.
To start with, and then the reality for many, many women.
Which is why I really wanted to put in the chapter on time. And I've been teaching about time for a long time. And I spent over a year just traveling and just going home for a few days at a time when I was still doing photography. So I'd go home and shoot a wedding and two families and run away again. And I traveled for 311 days out of the year in 2018. And I came home 5 or 6 times during the year just for like a week, 5 days, 3 days, that kind of thing. And then I was in places with no internet. I was in places like in Mexico with nothing, in different time zones, in different countries, on people's sofas, guesting other people's homes. I did not stay in a hotel for a year. So I was traveling and staying with people. But I learned how to use my time. My challenge to myself that year was, can I still run I had my coaching business as well as my photography business. I said, can I still run that while I travel? And yes, it actually developed in the best way that year. And I learned how to create this idea of time containers instead of having time constraints, right? So having and that's how the book got written in 2 weeks, because I had that time that I said, this is what I'm going to do. And I had other stuff, I had clients, I had calls, I had lessons, I had other things that I keep doing. It's not like I had 2 weeks and I said, I'm going to sign myself out and just do that. I didn't miss dinners and I didn't miss my movie nights. I did not miss taking my mother out, and none of those things, they still happen. And we even had a weekend away in those 2 weeks that did not get canceled. But the point of having focus on something and using the time, whether you have 10 minutes or 3 hours, learning how to use and leverage that time to get what you need to do. And then things get done like magic, absolutely magic. And when people say, I can't find the time for something. You don't find the time, you make the time.
You make the time,
And
yeah.
so when you make the time, we have all the time in the world, you know. We don't have
I think
time
I
than
think
others, you know.
I
We have
think
all the
so
time where,
many
yeah,
business owners, actually business owners, entrepreneurs, or people who want to become an entrepreneur, business owner, I think they drop out early because of that exact reason. They wait to find the time.
yeah,
They wait. I saw that so many times,
yeah,
and instead of just making the time, well, that's the reality. You make it,
yeah.
and also, so are you saying that then? So obviously there were other ongoing things happening, but basically, when it comes to one bigger project, right? You focus on one and you make the time for it, right?
Yeah. And even if you have other things, there's one big thing. And
Yeah.
that's one big thing. And then you have other small things that happen every day. But because time is not about hours, minutes, and that kind of time, it's about your energy, your clarity, and your decision making process.
Attention where you pay your attention. Yeah.
You know,
I
so if I have my attention on something, like, I would be cooking and thinking, I really need to put a section in there about guilt, you know,
yeah.
because that's important. When I
Yeah.
first started the book, it was just the A.I.E. It was like the execution, that's it.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I really need to put something in about joy. This needs to be done with fun. I needed to put something about the time because people are going to say, yeah, right, all good, but I don't have the time, right? So let's write about the time. And then I really need to put something in there about the guilt. And then, and then there's a loop. We need to have a loop, So all of
Yeah.
these things didn't come because I was sitting down making the book. I was swimming, I was cooking, I was making beds or doing laundry, or whatever. But at the same time, if that is where my attention is, that's what my brain's gonna do, even when I'm asleep.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And ever since I learned this concept, I can't remember when, a few years ago, of one thing, one big thing, or one core thing a day, I stopped doing to-do lists. I do have rough lists sometimes for a stretch of time, okay, like as in like I'm in this project and I need to complete this, you know, but like I don't have daily lists anymore. It's one thing. I either know that the night before or in the morning, first thing in the morning, this is today I'm gonna work on this.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier, and there's so much more space than in your thinking, in your brain.
Yeah,
You
and also when people just come to me and say, or people come to me and say, I wish I had a 48-hour day. You ever heard that? Had a
Yeah,
48-hour day. And I always say, you do. It's called today
yeah,
and tomorrow, you know?
yeah,
And the problem is we want everything to be done now because outside is like, gotta get it done now, done quickly, done now. It's gotta be done. It's gotta be done. It's gotta be done well, and it's gotta be done with fun. I say if it's not fun, it's not gonna get done for me. And so having something that you say, I know this is important, I know this is urgent, but I know this, if I do it tomorrow, nobody's gonna die and it's gonna be just fine.
and also I think I don't know about you, but obviously I'm still learning this, and it's work in progress, I guess, always. But I keep reminding myself, if I get stuck somewhere or I can't come up with an idea, I know I need an idea and I can't come up with one. I keep training myself to sort of go and do something else instead, and I know that this stuckness is there for a reason and something even greater is gonna come out of it. somewhere in between, or while cooking, or while doing, something else. And then you become so fast, actually faster than as if when you would be just sitting at your laptop trying to come up with things.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh,
But it requires a level of courage, I guess. you know.
yeah, but that is the freedom.
Yeah.
That's what we're working towards, the freedom to be able to
Yeah.
do that, and most people have it. They can walk away
Yeah.
an hour or half an hour or a
And
moment.
so if the weekend comes, go and do your weekend. If your kids get sick,
Yeah,
just deal with it. Just be with them. Or if you know that you should be spending more time with your children, well, go and do it. And guess what? Many ideas can come up, in between
yeah,
without
absolutely.
even trying. So which is really cool. Listen, I'm looking at the clock.
Yeah, this
Let's get to
over
execute.
hours, but this
Let's
is
get to the
a
to the
good stopping time.
letter E. Um, what's in that phase? How do you approach it?
The execution. Yeah, sort of. That is where you start. I call it the fun but scary bit, when things have actually become real, when actually you're making things happen. So, um, and most of the execution part in the book talks about why your execution falls apart. So we overthink, we overcomplicate, we fall into perfectionism, we have a loss of energy or momentum. And, so how to avoid all of these pitfalls, which are where you get stuck. Usually we get stuck when we're trying to do something and then something doesn't work or something doesn't come or something gets blocked. And so it's, how to go through the way to make this easier and not get bogged down into some of the stuff that is going to come at us. Because if you start going into having to do things perfectly, for instance, or having to do things a certain way, and then also about resistance, because we have an inner resistance to bringing stuff out there. And so there is a recognizing that there is a resistance to showing up or to doing whatever it is we're supposed to do, reaching out to people or getting some things out into the world or showing up on social media, whatever it is that is part of this project, understanding where that comes from and how to deal with it is really important. In every creative project, there is resistance.
Mhm.
Absolutely. There is always some resistance that comes from us and that blocks us. So that's, again, one really important thing. So the execution is, we know how to do stuff, we need to understand the pitfalls and what's going to hit you when you are actually doing the stuff. What's going to come at you and where does it come from? And how you can say, oh, I can see you, and then it loses power. And then you can carry on.
I love that you bring that up, like, because normally when people talk about execution, they just talk about actually doing the things, and there's very little, I think, about that resistance and the fact that it's normal and how to deal with it, including visibility, including, I don't know, showing up with your own voice,
Yeah.
whatever is required, I guess, in any project, for every entrepreneur. And that is normal. I think it needs to be normalized, and that's what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. That is really, it's really vital, because execution where things get messy, and we need to get happy with messy, get comfortable with messy. and know that it's not going to be linear. It's not going to be like pum, 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 pum. That doesn't
Mhm.
happen in the real world. That's a Mary Poppins type of thing. In the real world, you do one thing and it works, and the next bit of it doesn't work, and the next thing something happens, and then your kid gets sick, and then you come back again, and then you have to do like 3 reels, and you look terrible, and your hair, it's like my hair is a mess today, but it's like, was I going to cancel? No way. It's like, who cares? There's some things that are fine, even if they're
Mhm.
not perfect. And
Mhm.
some people say, oh, well, we want to do the best. Perfect is not excellence. We can do excellent work that is not perfect. And imperfect doesn't exist anyway. So, it's just an excuse to stop yourself. It's resistance. So,
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't recognize that they are trying to do things perfectly, and then that comes from all sorts of different situations in their childhood and whatever. But I think, and I think I was asking a question on Facebook at some point, what's the difference between excellence and perfection? And I assume, and tell me what you're thinking, like if you do the first letter, which is attention, properly, if you complete that phase, then you become more aware of how you are executing things
yeah.
in terms of excellence versus perfection.
And perfection is usually a lack of self-confidence. So
Yeah.
you keep trying to make it perfect for what? Or perfect for whom?
But you
Because
don't know, but
so
when
it's
people are
perfect for yourself,
consumed by perfection, they
and
don't
you're
know.
never going to be happy with what you do. If
Yeah.
I had refined this book and I could have tweaked it for a year. you know but it's like this is absolutely what it needs to be, and it's out and it's done, and I can move on to the next thing. But there's I believe in excellent work, absolutely.
Me
With my
too.
clients, it's has to be excellent work. It's not like we're being sloppy, or we're saying, well, just shoot it out, whatever. It's better than, what is it? Done is better than perfect. Yes, it is, but it's got to be done well.
Depends. Depends.
Exactly. So perfect doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that you don't pursue excellence, but also understanding what is excellent, and it doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to hit the intention that you had.
Which means you need to start with first things first.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm a principles person. I'm a person of the laws of the universe and nature's laws and whatever. I believe personally that you can only become excellent when you understand the fundamentals,
Yeah.
you know, and then versus attempting being perfect without understanding those things. Then I think that's when it's a trap. When you try to become perfect, but it's not possible because it's misaligned with how things work.
And that's your self-sabotage, you know, fantastic.
Yeah.
A lot of people do that. It's a very good excuse not to do things and to keep busy, because you keep working on it, So you
But
tell
and I think
yourself you're doing work, but you're actually stopping the work.
yeah, and I think it's an important topic and potentially a separate
Yeah,
conversation as well because our society is consumed by perfectionism, but people are not aware of it.
yeah, no.
That's what I think. Okay,
Anyway,
that was a fabulous conversation, Fab.
mm,
Amazing.
really thank you. This is I love to be able to come on your podcast and talk about this in this way, because yeah, it's nice to, I know we like to talk and discuss things. I do really strongly believe in community and working together, which is one of the reasons why, I love that the book can impact a lot of people. And I am, so if people go to the website, they can sign up and get freebies. I just made a cheat sheet that you can print. And then we got the bell as well. My bell,
Yeah,
did
I
you
couldn't hear anything. It's
hear
cool.
me? Anyway, so I'm making a project thing, and I will be making a workbook and different things going on. So people can sign up on the stopfuckingabout.com website, and then you get all these things as I make them. They're all freebies and things that I am making. And eventually I may even set up some kind of a group or something to work together on things. So these will be, the intentions are there.
Yeah.
We'll see we'll see what actually happens. But yeah, so I strongly recommend. It's all over the book. Sign up for this to get
Yeah.
this, that. So
Yeah, very cool. I'm gonna add all the links in the show notes, also the links to get the book as well. And I would encourage everyone listening to go and get the book. It is different and it's helpful.
thank
So
you for having me. Thank
thank you for being with me again. I
you.
know you and I, we could talk forever. That's what we do normally. So, anyway, nice to have you again. And thank you for the wisdom. Thank you for all your contribution and your insights that are different and refreshing.
Thank you. Thank you for this
Appreciate
time.
you. And thank you, the listener, for tuning in, listening, and being here with us. And I'll talk to you again next week.
I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for having me.